early on when COVID came, there was a lot of talk about, oh, we need to lock everything down because the economy is not more important than one human life. If it will save one human life, we need to shut down the entire economy. And what this study does, I think in the most general terms, is it totally refutes that frame of thinking. That, in fact, you cannot separate lives from livelihood. The COVID lockdowns amount to the greatest crime against humanity outside of war and genocide, and arguably the greatest public policy blunder in our nation's history. The entire world economy was in many ways suspended to address a disease. The average age of death for whose victim is higher, at least in the United States, than the average life expectancy, which is really inconceivable as a matter of public policy. There are very demonstrable connections between economic conditions and public health conditions. Economists know all too well that this connection exists, and they uniquely ignored this connection in order to support this policy blunder of lockdowns. The president read this study, he tweeted it, he actually tweeted a congressman who tweeted it, and ever since he read that study, it's become a common feature of his rhetoric on this issue, drawing attention correctly to the fact that the costs of the lockdowns are far more than the costs of the disease itself.
We're seeing, sadly, far greater suicides now than we are deaths from COVID. We're seeing far greater deaths from drug overdose that are above excess that we had as background than we are seeing deaths from COVID.
We've seen a spike in overdoses, and I would suspect that a good portion of those excess deaths in that younger cohort were from drug overdoses and other deaths that were triggered by some of the implications of what we've gone through to try to deal with COVID-19.
People are losing their jobs. They're committing suicide. There's depression, alcohol, drugs at a level that nobody's ever seen before. There's abuse, tremendous abuse. We have to open our country. You know, I've said it often, the cure cannot be worse than the problem itself.